We are all peoples of the earth, and to birth a new paradigm we must return. We are taught anti-racism to help us bring justice to our world, but it is not enough. It can further divide those of us showing up. And so we must remember who we were before the colonizer labeled us. This is how we restore harmony and balance to our world. Saludos, I'm Doctora Rocio. I'm a seer, a medicine woman, and a counseling psychology PhD. If you have been on an anti-racism journey but are feeling called to deeper spiritual work, this video is for you. The first teaching speaks to the Quero Inca prophecy of this being a time of great change. We are living in a time of great chaos, of destruction, and also in a time that holds great possibility. The Quero Inca speak to this time as being a time of great change. And so if we put this in the context of our work of collective healing and liberation, we must also do that work differently. We must also change the way that we show up for our movements, for liberation work. We cannot keep doing things in the same way that we have been doing them and expect different results. And so this requires for us to show up differently, to do our inner shadow work, so that we unlearn the ways that we have been colonized, the ways that we harm others, the ways that we have been unconsciously programmed to exploit and extract from ourselves, from others, and the land. We must also take a look at how we fragment ourselves and our relations, how we neglect and abandon our relations. We must remember that we are kin. Even if we don't always get along, we need to nurture our relations with ourselves, with our communities, and also with creation. If you've benefited from what I've shared today, I want to invite you to join my mailing list in the link in description, where you will receive a guided meditation, a guided journal workbook, and weekly messages to support you on your decolonial and spiritual journey. The second teaching is that it is crucial at this time to go beyond anti-racism. Anti-racism is necessary and important work. I want to be clear. I don't want these words to be weaponized. We need anti-racism work. White people in particular need to acknowledge and understand, be aware that they are white people, that they benefit and hold privilege and power that Black, Indigenous people of color do not. Yes, they have also been harmed by colonization and by these oppressive systems that we're currently living in, and also they benefited from colonization. They benefit from these oppressive systems. So anti-racism work is necessary if we are going to get to liberation. It helps white people to show up in righter relationship. And in the same vein, I also want to make it clear that it is important that we go beyond anti-racism work. That when we only do anti-racism work, we actually collude with a colonial paradigm. We unconsciously collude with a colonial worldview. We unconsciously collude and accept the colonizers' systems, even if that is not our intention. We accept the reality that they have given to us. We accept the reality and the ways that they have labeled us. When we only do anti-racism work, we are actually recreating the cycle and the world that they built. Essentially, what I'm saying is that when we only do anti-racism work, we are accepting the colonizers' vision for our world. We are not seeing another reality. We are actually not even operating in our ancestral ways of interacting with the world. And so it is important to go beyond this work if we are truly going to bring forth the prophecies of a better world. This is also, I believe, the great change that we are being called to step into. If we are to truly restore harmony and balance to our world, we need to remember our sacred original instructions. We cannot just operate on the labels that the colonizer gave us. And remember our connection with creation. Remember that we are all peoples of the earth and also show up in right relation. The third teaching is that decolonizing and indigenizing is what will help us create this great change, is what will help us shift this paradigm. I want to be clear that the work of anti-racism is a first and necessary step in the work of collective healing and liberation. And to restore harmony and balance to our world, we need to both decolonize and indigenize. Frantz Fanon speaks about decolonization as calling into question the colonial situation. Firstly, we need to be aware that we are living under a colonial paradigm. Decolonizing helps us to zoom out and see that this is not the way that the world was intended, that this is actually not the way that we humans were birthed to interact with each other and the world. Frantz Fanon also speaks about decolonization as completely changing the order of things. And so again, decolonizing helps us to be more conscious of our role in this current reality in modern society, and also how we can begin to show up in it to create the change that is needed for collective healing and liberation. And to create balance and harmony, we must also remember that we all come from peoples of the earth, that we have all come from peoples that had a connection to the land, that had a connection to the cosmos, and that were in deep connection with all of creation. This piece, remembering our relations and showing up in right relation with the earth, with others, and with creation, is what will help us bring forth a new world. In sum, what I'm saying is that anti-racism work helps us to see the ways that the colonizer labeled us and racialized us into a hierarchy that benefits them. If we are truly going to bring forth liberation on a soul level and create the healing that this world needs, we need to remember who we are before they programmed us into their reality. We need to remember our deep connections to the land, to the peoples that we come from, and to each other. This is the decolonial and spiritual work we need. My hope is that from today's video, this gives you more clarity about the journey that we are being called to at this time, for us to be more intentional in the ways that we are showing up for this sacred work, so that we bring forth the prophecies and bring forth true healing and true liberation to our world.